with that, it's my pleasure to invite the conference chair, Anshul Singhal. He's the CEO of Embassy Industrial Parks. He's responsible for the development of large-scale and fully managed industrial and logistics parks across India. Totals to around 20 million square feet over the next 5 years. Anshul comes with over 12 years of leadership experience in the field of manufacturing, infrastructure and real estate. Please welcome him with a warm round of applause.
Before I start talking about a little bit about the future of warehousing, I would like to introduce our company, Embassy Group. So, as you know, many of you, that Embassy Group has predominantly been into office real estate. We are today the largest landlords in India in office real estate. We approximately house about 32 million square feet of office space today, which makes us number one. And we come with a very, very strong leasing mindset. So 32 million is all leased and all owned. We haven't sold anything, right? And we're coming up with our first street very, very soon, which you will hear about. You must have seen our ads recently on television and so on and so forth. Most of our customers in Embassy Office Parks include international tenants, so the likes of IBM, SAP, Microsoft, NetApp, including automotive guys like Mercedes, Rolls-Royce, Volkswagen, e-commerce, Flipkart, Amazon, even smaller e-commerce guys are included in our profile. So what I'm trying to put a point out is that we as a company understand international customer requirements. There have been many instances where while we are setting up an office, now please remember when I say office, a lot of these places are actually factories. Even though they are put forth as offices. So, for example, a Mercedes-Benz R&D center or an IBM work lab. So they have very high-end specific requirements. So a lot of times our teams have had to travel to California or to certain parts of the US to see what an IBM or somebody else has done in that part of the world and how they would like to replicate that in India. And I'm proud to say that most of the buildings, or probably all of the buildings that we've delivered in that format, have been better than that in the US. So as Indian companies, we have touched global multinational standards. So that's what we do in office, and it's very similar what we are doing in industrial real estate. So in Embassy Industrial Parks, for example, we are building warehouses and factories, both built to suit and speculative. And again, we are able to make some very serious stuff, which you're welcome to visit our park in Chakan, and I would love to show you that. Talking about expectations of customer or buying behavior. So people are not ready to wait anymore. If you went to an e-commerce site 5 years ago and you clicked online and it said delivery time 3 weeks, it didn't surprise you. Internet से आ रहा है, time लगेगा. Internet order लेगा, फिर वो manufacturer के पास जाएगा, फिर warehouse पे जाएगा, फिर आपके पास आएगा. But today that's not the case anymore. Today it's next day delivery. Most of China and Europe today, I was in Germany once, and I remember, as usual, my wife called me and said, I want something, please pick this up. So landed there at 7 a.m., went on Amazon, Germany, ordered it. Evening it was there in my hotel. How far is India from getting there? Not very far. We are already hitting next day deliveries very, very efficiently. So the buying behavior has changed. Now imagine this behavior offline. Right? Everybody is just talking about online. But if this is your expectation online, what is your expectation offline? 94 to 95% of India's retail today is still offline. Right? So most of us are still buying offline. If you go to a Kirana store or a Banya store today and the guy tells you that this item is not available, you'll probably stop going there. Because you actually made the trip to go there and then you don't find the item. It's very frustrating. So what does this do to his pressures? Now he needs to obviously stock more and have on-call supply within a few hours or within the next morning. Now what does all this do in terms of warehousing demands? It goes up. Because if you combine it with consumption, now India's saving rate today is about 31%. India's investment rate is 34%. So we are very conservative people with our money, and that's a good thing, right? Because the world falls in trouble, we don't. Right? So we like to save our money. Now, but you combine that with the consumption, what I just spoke about. So we spend about 80% of our GDP on consumption, which is a very high number. What does that mean? That means everything that we produce or import pretty much gets consumed. Now what is all this? So talk about the GDP, India growing, next to China, consumption, investment rate, it leads to a massive demand in warehousing. Now if you add that to say 7 to 8 of the top cities in India today, so Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Kolkata, right? These are big consumption centers. That's not going to change. So I've heard a lot of talk about, warehousing is a 5-year play, or a 3-year play, or a 10-year play. No, it's not. It's a very long-term play. If you go to UK and US today, it's still a profitable, lucrative business. And they touched this sort of matured buying behavior over 20 years ago. So it's not new to them. We've just started scratching the surface. Now, what does all this mean for this forum, right? So it's a little important to put the industry and size it up a bit. So the logistics industry today employs about 22 million people, roughly. That's a lot of employment. That's only increasing day by day. There's always a scare that globally, whenever any technology is launched, that technology is going to take away jobs from people. But that's not true. I mean, when IT was launched, when computers came out, there was a big scare that, now whatever we are doing, a computer can do. So people are going to lose their jobs. But look what IT has done to Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, in terms of grown those cities. We have more skilled employment now than we did before computers came in. So technology always creates more jobs, right? Similarly, I think warehouse automation is a big topic today. We're going to touch that. There is a scare that it would take away jobs, but I don't think that's the case. It's only going to add more jobs to the warehousing sector. So 22 million people are going to keep, growing roughly at about a 5 to 8%, 9% per annum. The total industry today is worth $160 billion. So all of us combined here, along with others, are worth about $160 billion. This is expected by 2020 to be at 215 billion. So in about 2 years' time. More about it, I would like to cover a little bit on GST. Now, GST has been the topic, I think, of the day. We'll have a lot of discussions today. And I just want to leave a few foods for thought on what GST is all about. So I've heard a lot of negative sentiments on GST since it's been launched. People say that GST, everything has gone up, my chai bill has gone up, my coffee bill has gone up, all the taxes have gone up, so GST now starts costing a lot more money. What was the whole point? What has Modi done? And all that. But that's not true. So I think GST is a very good move for the country, specifically for all of us today. Because firstly, what it does is it's one country, one tax. Secondly, what it does is let's pick up we are all in the logistics business. So a travel time of a truck from, let's say, Delhi to Chennai, right? Normally pre-GST, so pre-2016 bid, it used to take that truck about 6 days, 5 to 6 days to get there. Today that same truck can get there in under 4 days. That's a huge saving on time. Now what does that do? Does that increase cost or reduce cost? It reduces cost. Now what does that do in terms of working capital requirement? Now multiply that industry-wide, right? So all the manufacturers now need to have a slightly lesser working capital, because you can reach to place A from place A to place B fast. What does GST do in terms of warehousing demand, right? So in terms of warehousing demand, what GST does is it now finally allows you to build the warehouses, which were first godowns. So pre-GST, if I'm a manufacturer, I would have a godown in Maharashtra, and I would have a godown in Gujarat, and I would have a godown in Karnataka, and I would just be flying paperwork from one location to the other, while the goods actually, and then there would be check napas and frustrations, but all that's gone now. So what am I going to do now? I'm now actually going to pull all this together, consolidate, and build a nice big mother warehouse to service my requirements. Now what does that do for somebody like me in terms of real estate? I can now think about going and buying land in a good location, clean land, give a legal compliant warehouse, a big box with expansion room to a customer like yourself. So that's what GST does. Now what does that do to working environment and safety and people and culture of our country? So if you have a nice big park like that what I showed you, we're building about 9 of those. You can now get in that park safely, park your car, or if you're a laborer or worker, you'll have a nice truck picking you up, dropping you to your warehouse. You enter your warehouse, you put on your PPE, you're working in a nice, hygienic house. Now, any safety manager will tell you, housekeeping is the first step for safety, right? So you're in a nice, clean environment with a lot of fire systems, with an emergency plan, with good quality flooring, so your racks won't just stumble over, and it's a nice place to work. So most of our warehouses are insulated, so the temperature between outside the warehouse and inside the warehouse is about a 4.5 degree difference. So you're working more efficiently. It's a cooler environment. It's a more humane environment to work in. So GST has added a lot of direct and indirect benefits to our sector specifically. Till the time you see the full benefits of GSTs, I would allow it to be about 4 to 5 years. Any new tax regime globally, even when VAT was introduced in Europe, it took time for VAT to come into full play and show the real benefits of VAT. Right? So I think India has taken the first step, and GST is a big positive for our country. It will continue to be a positive for our country. And yes, there are, with any new tax regime or any changes, pluses and minuses, and I'm not saying it's only positive. But I would argue that there are more pluses and minuses once GSTs come in the longer term. That's it from me. Thank you for listening. And thank you very much.